Oh, testing, testing. Hello. So, um, we kind of went into it, but obviously this is a very informal meeting. I think we've all been used to all the different official meetings that we all go to, like on a 7-day a week basis. So I wanted to give some time to just do some check-ins to see how people are doing, especially within the last couple of days. I know I've been pretty exhausted, just like from all the different news. For example, the shooting at the California VA in Unionville. I'm not sure if y'all have heard. One of our PAU alum, Palo Alto University alum, was one of the therapists that was unfortunately killed. So it's been pretty intense. And I didn't know they were a PAU alum until like kind of they circulated the information. It's just really intense stuff that's been happening for the last, like, I guess, within the month since we've last met. I just want to check to see how people are doing, not with the world stuff, but just school stuff. Just if anyone has any check-ins and where they're at in their program and just struggles in general. It doesn't have to be related to diversity, but it can. So I just want to keep that space open if anyone has any thoughts or just feel fatigued.
Well, I'm currently applying for my advanced therapy practicum.
Yeah.
Well, I applied already.
Uh-huh.
So,
Good luck.
so I'm almost done with internship
Practicums.
interviews.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with interviews. I've had interviews all week, so it's kind of been exhausting. But I think I definitely try to incorporate, I try to facilitate a discussion about how it's so important to definitely be aware of different areas of diversity and especially like with this current socio-political climate, right? There's so many people that are affected by it, and especially because I want to get into university counseling.
Yeah.
So with that population, it's particularly impactful. So I always try to definitely draw back the questions to the current environment that we're in right now. I think everyone is affected by it, especially minorities in a certain way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So other than that, it's been it's been definitely exhausting. I wish I could speak more on my own, reactions to the current events right now, but I've been checked out of everything other than school.
Yeah, exactly. In a way, school kind of helps us step away from the events because school is just, 24, 48 hours of our life. It can be exhausting. Just to satisfying the basic requirements of being a student. Yeah.
And I'm really sorry to hear that about.
It's something that you don't think about when you go into being a therapist. Like I was talking with colleagues and you do regular risk checks, right? In terms of, are you thinking about hurting yourself, taking the life of yourself for another? Do you have access to a weapon? And obviously, like, you want to maintain your own safety, but usually you're checking that for, obviously, maintain the safety of the client, the safety of others, but you never realize that it can be a danger for yourself too. And that's just, not that our work has to change drastically, but it's just, it's sad and it's hard to hear that such violence can happen. It's exhausting too. Especially for those of us that really want to help. Beer, I'm not sure if you have any comments since you're going to a VA system as well.
First off, I just was sorry that it hit so close to home.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming and pretty much terrifying to think about it happening so close, especially with all of the stuff about guns and shootings and I don't know if it's like a social media thing or it's probably a mixture of both, and then an increase. But I'm not gonna lie, I was really happy about my choice going. Got my number one choice, which I'm gonna love it there. But I was like, so I'm going to Orlando when the Pulse Night Club shooting just happened, and then the VA shooting happened, and I was like, I'm not normally like scared, but I was like, okay, so I'm gonna have to be really on point, not only thinking about people hurting themselves, because that is something you mentioned, like making sure that the environment is safe and that they're not in imminent danger, and then they have support, but also thinking about in that immediate moment whether you and other people around you are safe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it can be overwhelming in an already overwhelming kind of profession.
Yeah, exactly.
So protecting ourselves physically and psychologically is, and the people around us really.
Yeah. And I hope it doesn't deter anyone from going to the VA system either, because I think the work is so important there. So I imagine it won't, but I think I don't want it. I would want people to continue to go into the VA system, because being present and continually helping and improving the VA system, I think it's super important. Yeah. I'm specifically interested in university counseling as well, but at some point I want to go into the VA system. I'm curious, like, what has the conversation been around, like, everyone's campuses around, like, all these recent events? Has there been conversation? Has there been support?
I think my faculty does definitely address it. You know, I think they also give the space for students to discuss it as well. And I'm from a pretty small program, so my cohort. Well, I'm in a site. Are you guys in PhD programs, ID programs? Okay.
PhD, yeah.
Yeah, so I know PhD programs. Cohorts are pretty small as well. So yeah, I think my faculty does a good job at opening the space for students to discuss matters like that. But it's been good overall. Just to talk about things like that. And there's some students who do get more impacted by it, if either just if it's like a matter of like a personal just similarity in personal characteristics.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Things like that. So I think it's important as a university to definitely provide the space, but I think also, like, I try as well to do some work in doing, like, conducting like dialogues and
of course,
allowing students to really have the space, like a specific something set, a time and place to be able to talk about things that are affecting them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely been present on my campus as well. If not officially by faculty members, if anything, like just within the cohort. Absolutely. Again, my campus is pretty small too. The campus in general, like, we have a small undergraduate and master's program, but my PhD cohort is, like, pretty big. So that's helpful. At least you find your little niches in your groups. But I'm just wondering how other people are doing, if there's anything else that's popping up at school, like practicum interviews, irregular interviews for the next year. It's already, oh my gosh, it's already like March. Oh,
yeah, I just got over about a month full of interviews. I don't know how the sort of for the practicum requirements are in different states, but if you're in the NYC area, it's really difficult, just generally. There's a ton of rules involved. Like, you can only hold externship offers for like 2 hours. You can't hold them simultaneously.
Oh wow.
It's insane. It's because there are about 300 sites, but there are like 1 million students.
300 sites.
And so, like, I think the longest you can hold an offer on the first day is like until 9 a.m. the next day, so long as you're not holding additional offers. It's psycho.
That's intense. That's intense.
Yeah, so you have to sort of know exactly what you want to do. You have to have like a ranking order. And I found my match about 2 weeks ago, but it's been insane.
I can imagine struggle.
Yeah, and like, you don't get notifications at the same time, so you can you may think, I did horribly, I'm not going to get a match, and you may accept an offer and find out that like an hour later you would have gotten like the offer that you wanted.
But what about pre-notification? Do they not have a pre-notification day in New York?
We do. So we have a match date. It was February 26th or 27th, I think. But every site doesn't provide their decisions by that moment. So like, it starts at 9 a.m.
Oh, that's fun.
And you have a set amount of time you can hold your offers. So imagine you're in class, you're probably at externship or something. And then as the offers trickle in, you have a limited amount of time to respond to each offer. And then once you accept an offer, you're supposed to withdraw all your application from all other sites.
Oh, wow.
So come 9 a.m., you get an offer, and it's a good one. It's like a hospital. but it's not your top choice, you might take that offer and then like say no to everyone else and have someone not read that email and email you the offer you actually wanted. And then you can't go back. Yeah. So you can't tell like your number one choice afterwards, yes, and then drop number 3.
That is kind of anxiety provoking.
And you can hold. Yeah, it prepares you for internship, I think.
Yeah. So you have to do that 2 years then, right? How many external internships?
3 years.
3 years. Oh my.
You do that 3 years.
What year is this? The second year you're doing it? First year you're doing it?
This is the 3rd year I'm doing it.
Oh, wow.
And then
So
this fall I applied for internship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say you're used to it by now, but that still sounds hard.
Right, because then you start, like at first you're not as focused on like the competitiveness of the site, but it's New York City, so everything is really competitive anyway. So even though every single training site is probably going to be great, like they're going to have their own sort of merit,
of course, everyone's
still gunning for like the same 5 sites.
Absolutely.
So it's ridiculous.
What type of sites were you going for?
I'm sorry?
What type of sites were you looking at?
Oh, adult inpatient hospitals. Okay. And they're like, them and VAs, and they're crazy out here.
Yeah. It's competitive over here in California too, for VAs for sure. But man, I think that's something that I really like about these coffee chit chats, just hearing about the different like specific student experience in different states, and thinking I have it, like you thinking I have it bad, but I'm like, oh wow, hearing about other instances, like okay, maybe I should go
like at least we're not in New York, no.
Yeah.
Is it chances that people don't get matched to an externship, or is it like you'll get one, you just might get a bad one?
Yeah, what is that like?
So you can go through the first round of this, like the official match day, et cetera, and not match. And then different sites will release if they have openings, and then you have to go through it all over again. But the difference is that once you go through it the second time, you're not regulated by all the rules. Essentially everybody matches. You just won't get your top choice, or you won't get as a competitive slot. So like in the city, Bellevue is like the top placement.
Really?
So like I just got that slot, but like had I not gotten that slot and wanted to apply later, they wouldn't be available, and neither would like the VAs, because the VAs usually match the first day. Wow. So you'd just probably end up at a place that you don't want. And like, because it's so competitive in our program, for whatever unfortunate reason, if you get like, let's say that you want to do hospitals or you want to work with kids and you're not getting those experiences, they'll ask you to do an extra year in your program.
Wow.
So the match is really important because, it's really important from the jump, because if you don't get it, then you're facing like, what if you have to do an extra year?
Yeah.
And it's not financially sustainable here. So
I can imagine not only just like the amount for tuition, but then also just living in New York too.
Yeah, like we get funded our first.
There?
I'm sorry?
Are you from New York? Do you have family?
Me? No. Yeah. I'm from Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Oh, way different. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting that New York has so many different possible like external practicum locations too, because it's so big. Like in California, at least in the Bay Area where I'm at, like we have a website dedicated to all the different, like approved practicum sites, external practicum, which we have to do it for like max 2 years. It's like I think a total choice of like 80 or so. So a little bit less, and there's still competition, but it doesn't sound as it's not as intense as what New York sounds like. Because I know New York has so many different programs too, like related to counseling, both PsyD and PhD.
Yeah, and it includes like New Jersey.
Yep.
And it includes like a few sites in like upstate New York.
Exactly.
So it totals a little over 300. But they're not all like geographically reasonable. So like if you're in the city, Staten Island might not be reasonable.
Yeah,
or
you might not have a car.
Whatever. So like yeah.
Oh wow.
It's really surprising. Like, so we have a similar process here in Chicago. It's interesting how we have like the 3 most competitive cities here in the chat, but so we follow ACEP. So on the notification day, we all get notified at 9 a.m. and we have 1 hour to reply. If we don't reply within 1 hour, then that offer is taken from us. Like essentially we can't accept it anymore, and we would have to either reply to the next offer that's given. But the thing is that we also, to prevent what you're going through, like that stress of not knowing if you're going to receive an offer at, like, let's say 12, not 9 a.m., So we do pre-notification day, and the majority of sites do participate in pre-notification day. And what that is that, so our match day is on Monday, right? So that Friday, all the sites who intend on giving us an offer will notify us. So we have the whole weekend to really think about what we want to choose. And then when they message us, like if we're their first choice and they're also our first choice, we could just say, okay, at 9 a.m. when they email us, we accept your offer. And then it just facilitates the whole process, which is really unfortunate.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, like it's really unfortunate that you guys don't have that. I feel like definitely, like the students want to feel advocated for.
Yeah.
And it's really unfair. Like how, I think especially like giving up an offer or taking an offer when you don't know if it's your first choice or not, or if you're going to get even an offer later on, like that's just super stressful. And
yeah, especially in New York.
Yeah,
too,
and we have
sites. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a limit on how many we can apply by year. So like, it's not like you can apply to 30 or something crazy. Like your first year, you can apply to 10. The second time you go through the process, you can apply to 10. And then the last time you go through it, you can only apply to 8. So
Got it.
You have to like really secure the interviews, and then you really have to sort of hope that they like you and do really well, because otherwise, you can't go above that.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to get all the sites to commit to anything. And a lot of them are sort of catching their tail with late interviews. So I don't know why that hasn't come up, but it sounds like an amazing idea what you're doing, like just being able to think on it, because we're not given, like I said, if we're at externship or we are in class or whatever, you're not allowed to sort of not respond within the 2-hour frame.
Yeah. That's so stressful. I don't know. I'm really wondering why there isn't something why anyone isn't doing anything about it.
Exactly. But I hope at least they prepare you in New York, at least for that whole application process. Abir, you're done with all of that now too. I mean, you're done with internship applications.
I'm just feeling bad this whole time because in a small town, we recently, because sometimes, we have about 15 practicum sites, which is actually a lot for a small town. And they're all a lot of primary care and a lot of really great sites. And we recently advocated because we felt the application process was like a little strange, because they would upper class students wouldn't get the practicum that they wanted because the faculty would think, okay, well, you already have really good experiences, you don't necessarily need that. So they actually got rid of all the applications. And so now we just do a practicum preference form, and then we're matched that way. And it's like a one-day thing.
Oh, wow.
So the whole time I'm like, I cannot even imagine. This is like internship, you guys.
Yeah.
Like internship over and over and over again. And it's stressful.
So be prepared at least.
Even if you do really well, it's still like tragic when that happens. Like you find out you got what you wanted and you're like, yes, and 3 seconds later you're like, what have I been through? And it's crazy.
Are the practicum sites, once you get there, they're supportive and it's a good experience, or are they also kind of stressful and competitive?
I'm sure it depends. I've had really great experiences where the sites have been really wonderful. But I know other folks who've had bad experiences during their externship. So it's not like you sort of survive the hurdle and then it's all good. It varies. And it all varies by who the training directors are, and there are places that are really inflexible with scheduling. It just varies.
Yeah. Last year that you're doing it, thankfully, and then APIC, I guess that'll be a whole nother. I feel like you'll be maybe really prepared for internships.
That.
Yeah. It'll
The
be.
last day is like you get a choice and then you're done. You
Yeah.
you're in a contract. Like you don't have to worry about. Oh, I have to respond. Although the emails that you get the interviews for, like those you have to respond to, but not like there's not like a limit. You just try to respond to get your spot. The interview date that you want. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you guys are going to be pros at that after.
Yeah. In California, I think my program tries to pride itself on the fact that it prepares people for internship and at least like the application process. So we have a online web like matching portal for all of our sites that we apply to. It's called BayPick instead of APIC, BayPick, like for the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And it's similar to the APIC format, essentially. You have all these sites and you rank them. And then there's like an algorithm that matches you. So essentially it's kind of helping us get mentally prepared for the internship process and applying, which is still stressful. But yeah, I just finished that process as well, or I'm in the process of doing interviews. And then I hear back from people, see if I got in. But it was still stressful for me, I think. As easy as they tried to make it out for us. And like there's literally a whole class that we took on it, like practicum application process. I'm not sure if you guys had that. I was like, in the moment, it's like, do I really need to learn this? But it was actually helpful. Yeah, literally, like, what website do you go to? What buttons do you click? A little bit of hand holding, but if I didn't have it, I guess I would definitely feel like really lost. Like, what do I do? So
this just makes me want to like apply places that are not New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I just think it's like the vibe of New York City. Like, unfortunately, and I'm coming from Florida. Like, I'm used to being from a small town, and things are so different. But like, we didn't get a course or a manual or an instruction guide. Like, we're just told these are the dates. This is the link where the sites are available, like the wiki link, and
wow,
you have to meet with somebody for 30 minutes to rank the places that you're actually going to apply to. Your list either gets approved or doesn't, but it's really arbitrary, like depending on your goals. And then you apply, and that's it. And then you have like an email check-in where you tell like our DCT that you know, they're supposed to be CC'd on offers.
Yep.
So you just tell them what your final choice was, and that's it. Like, there's no like workshop sort of educational learning curve. You figure it out. So usually most people will sort of botch the first year, and then the following 2 years they become pros like naturally, because they're like, I'm not going to mess this up again.
Oh, that sucks though. Yeah. It's like
just a lot of it is, a lot of it is based on like your individual autonomy. Like I even think the programs pride themselves in that, like, you have to be independent and figure this out, which is like a very modern form of hazing, I think. But it's sort of how it is. Like, and even if you like want more support and ask for it, they're like, well, you should be able to do this. That's like the expectation. Wow.
Yeah. That's, well, what type of, like, just the theme around that just is so deep. It's like, oh, I had to do this when I was a student, therefore you have to do this as well. Like, this is how we did it before, and this is how we have to do it now. Just like,
it's like a rite of passage or something.
Right? Yeah. There's a little bit of that when I've noticed, like, just not my faculty, but just in general, like older faculty are like, there's a little bit of not as much empathy for the stress that we have to go through, because it's like, they had to do it, so do we. I'm like, I mean, we've changed. I mean, we've grown as psychologists. I feel like that's a little bit of an immature mentality, but it's a stressful process for everyone, and we all want to do the same thing and help. So, yeah, I feel like I should go hug my program directors now.
I mean, like you mentioned, because there's just a quantity of people and practice. I mean, I understand that they want to do a very like rigid and like streamlined process, but
Exactly.
I mean, I can imagine going through that stress. I will say, I mean, just luckily for the internship match, we talked about this last time. Like, I don't think internship is going to be as stressful thing as it has been over the past like decade. So like, you know, as long as you're doing well and you got good experiences, like, you don't necessarily have to worry about like not matching.
Find a place,
which is nice, because for me, it was terrifying most of the time. But now it's like rebalanced, so it's good. It kind of gives a little bit of hope. So this is cake compared to what you guys have been through.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, one more year, and then are you thinking about staying in New York, or are you going to try and go back down to Florida when you're applying for internship? No, it's a whole nother year ahead of
So
us.
I don't think I'm going to go back to Florida. At least not yet.
Yep.
But I'm thinking like either, California, like urban areas like Chicago. And I'll apply to New York just because it's cheaper to apply here. Because I won't have to travel. But I've also been here for my master's and my 3 years of my doctoral program. So I'm kind of ready for a different kind of life. Yeah.
Well, come to California. It's sunny. There's no snow, unfortunately, sometimes.
Your interview days for our new graduate students. I don't know. I was wondering like what you guys do for those, or if you're involved, or
for like new incoming like doctoral students. I think that PIU just finished our process with that. So we had like our interview days. I wasn't involved with it, but a lot of my faculty were talking about it. I think they already were accepted for the program. So yeah, more incoming individuals. But I will say as a side note, I'm not sure if it's just me, but we have a diversity and community mental health emphasis I'm interested in, for individuals that are interested in diversity issues, ethnic minority, mental health, etc. The last cohort that came in, no one was interested. I'm hoping that's just maybe a 1-year thing, because no one wants to apply to my labs that are interested in diversity issues. Everyone's like, a lot of different stuff, mainly neuro students. So I'm hoping that's just maybe me. But yeah, what about you guys? You have met any of your incoming cohort members?
Not yet. Not for us.
Yeah, maybe that's just a 1-year thing. But I also want to be mindful over time because we have 20 minutes. I want to make sure if anyone had any specific Division45 things they want, like questions or help they wanted for programming, wanted to bring that up. Keep that space open as well.
I do have.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to update everyone, and I guess I'm kind of stuck.
Yep.
So we've had meetings. Like I've selected a committee on my campus, and we've definitely had meetings where we have dialogues about different things, and we also invite like students from all years of the program to engage in these dialogues as well. But what I wanted to do was to definitely bring in like a speaker to talk about, just multiculturalism or multicultural sensitivity, just I wanted to pick a good topic and bring in a speaker. Unfortunately, the way that it's looking right now, I've reached out to about 6 speakers and I haven't heard back from anyone. I'm working with my program director because we definitely wanted to do it together so I could have more support, especially like financially, so it's been a struggle to get a speaker in. So do you guys have any like other suggestions? I'm going to keep reaching out to people. If worse comes to worse, looking in my program, I'm really exhausting all options right now. Like I'm going to reach out to as many people as I can just to bring someone in, because we are doing a lot of the dialogue, the discussion dialogue, general body meetings in a way. So I definitely wanted to bring someone in to like administer, like really helpful information for students, especially with working with like diverse populations. So I'm kind of stuck right now with that. Do you guys have any advice, recommendations, different ways, different type, honestly, anything at this point?
So we have been doing, and again, my group, we've been really sticking together for a couple years now. But what we have gotten in the university, so we do diversity discussions, 2 or 3 times a semester, and we actually look at the student organizations. So we just had a representative from the Native American Student Association at the university to come in and do the discussion. And so it's like usually like didactic, so they just like give us a little bit of information. It's about kind of the evolution of Native Americans and psychology. And it was a wonderful talk. And then we got funding from our GPSA, so our Graduate Student Association, to provide dinner. And so we get like Qdoba, and we like bring and people, so that we always have a full house. And so that's our way to kind of be able to get people in, but also for the speakers to be able to have a good presentation, and then for the information to be disseminated. And we've gone in the university. I mean, there's a University of Idaho right next to there, and we've gotten a speaker from there, but we don't go where it's like we get someone who cares about the university already because they're in there, and we've got amazing talks. And it's been so valuable. This is a little thing that I made you. The M, sorry. And it's been phenomenal. Actually, we started a shared drive, and I'm meaning to put on my activity sheets for that, just because I can give a little bit more information about how it goes. But people love it, even though especially because they're from Washington State University. It is an M. I made you an M. So I'm also happy if you want to talk offline anytime, because luckily like I had two people who were like really motivated, so they spearheaded it, and then we all got together, and then in order to like prioritize topics, we're sending a survey out to see what do you guys want to hear from, and then so we'll get those topics, and then we'll start looking about individuals with expertise in that area for the fall.
I think to definitely add on that, like there's the internal aspect too, to reach out to any faculty members or even just organizations within the university, which I'm sure you've already done, to get speakers. I'm also thinking, since you're in Chicago, just looking at, also, in addition, also just seeing what type of conversations want to be heard, what type of topics want to be covered in terms of multiculturalism, but also thinking of, I'm wondering what other people in the community related to like mental health that you've contacted, like community mental health directors, people that work with diverse clientele. That might be a good place to reach out to. So there's the sources aspect, like looking at different. I'm looking at different mental health practitioners, maybe people in private practice, someone that you can just ask and get connected to. And then in terms of the funding aspect, and I've tried to advertise this, but we do have some funding for the different activities that we want our reps to have. Exactly. We fund their activities and programs. So Abir, we actually helped fund her program that's being developed and is in the process. Or has it happened yet? I can't remember.
I have not heard yet, but
yes.
Totally fine either way.
Yeah, it's in the process.
That's for our symposium, a little bit different than discussions, but still so valuable to have any extra help, because then we can provide prizes and snacks.
Yeah, exactly. And if you need funding to like either rent rooms or even just like to help, I guess, accommodate your guest speakers too, as a kind of like a, hey, come here. So maybe those 6 people that you reached out to and haven't reached out to back, like, hey, we really want to help you. Here's some accommodations for you coming. So we do that. And if you want to figure out how to do that specifically, like reach out to me, and like it's me, Darren and Desa, who kind of help kind of approve the projects. But if you're just trying to get a speaker in, that sounds like it's within the realms of like what we fund for and what we want. So there's the funding aspect, and then who to reach out. I think the reaching out aspect is always the difficult part, because who's going to commit? I'm just hoping I would look at the different maybe community mental health agencies that work with specific diverse clientele. I think that might be a good place to reach out, and if anything, to network from there, and just see what it obviously depends on what your campus wants to hear. But that's kind of what I have.
Yeah, no, that's all really good. It's really helpful. I didn't think about reaching out to practitioners, like people who are providing services in different settings.
Yeah, that might be interesting, just to see like what it's also like just to be a clinician too. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a really good idea. I'm going to keep trying. I have a lot of students who, I have plenty of students who are on the board. I have so many, especially first years, that are very, very interested. So I could definitely see the chapter really staying in our campus. And, just by the looks of it, a lot of students are really interested. And I think that not only with involvement with Division45, but especially just learning more about diversity, especially with, ethnic, cultural minorities, racial minorities.
Yeah.
So,
and one more thing to expand your options. If you can't find local people within Chicago, this might be an also option to do a webinar. Like you can use this platform, Zoom. I could help you with like sending this link out. I get to provide this free to essentially everyone, as long as I create the link. So if there's someone in the wider community, someone that you met at Amina Sai, for example, or just wider that's not in Chicago, that you're able to reach out to and who they're willing to do a Zoom webinar and just like talk and be there, that's also an option too, if you want to expand. And I could definitely help with that. Think with the
great idea.
Yeah, with the power of technology, we don't have to just be local. We can do anything. Yeah, but that's
video conferencing now, right? We can do anything.
Exactly. So that's something to consider as well. But I understand the struggle of just finding people to actually come and speak. Like within the student committee, we have a webinar division, essentially. Just getting people for that is difficult. So it's a struggle. I don't know why. I feel like if I were a professional and someone asked me to speak, I'm going to like fight the norm and be like, yeah, absolutely. I'll say yes to everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I chose professors that are very heavily involved with Division45, right? So, and I understand, like, everyone is busy, but I don't know. I'm going to try again, try different options. I'm going to definitely take your guys' advice. And, there's a need on our campus to address certain things. And I think especially with like multicultural competence, like a one diversity course doesn't cut it. Right? It's like an ongoing process, and it definitely takes training, and it takes speakers, and it takes engaging in dialogues and learning about different perspectives. And so anything that we could do, any options that there are, I'm definitely going to exhaust all of them and see what happens. And
have you found your faculty?
I'm sorry?
Your faculty members? Like, I mean, I know they probably share their research already, but like, we only get one diversity class. So these are so valuable to get a different perspective that's outside of a academic area.
Well, the thing is that that's what I had suggested. Like, we have an excellent, she's also my advisor for this. For the Division45, but she's so great at what she does. She's the diversity, she teaches the diversity course. But when I met with my program director, I had originally thought of facilitating like a larger scale dialogue about like power and privilege, or, some topic. And because the students really seem to enjoy that in our diversity course, that's a lot of what we did. But the thing is that my program director definitely was leaning away from that, because she wanted students to get a different, that's something that's provided as a part of the diversity course. And she wasn't against it completely, but she wanted to expand or diversify the experiences of the students and really allow them to get more of, different perspectives, and not have it like really mimic the diversity course, but it being something similar, but presented in a different way. So that's why she just did suggest like bringing in a different speaker, or, different options. Like we really want the students to be exposed to very like a broad range of experiences, definitely. So but that's still an option. It's just one of our it's not our first option.
Maybe somewhere to start, and then, or at least like, just in the beginning to see how it goes. And then again, like going to the practitioners or the student organizations. I mean, there's like probably one for each ethnic group and a sexual minority group and all sorts of diversity factors. And yeah, they're not psychology, but you can get that diverse perspective because they know about that group of people, like expertise, and then they can associate psychology, and you can make it as a discussion rather than like a didactic.
Yeah.
Okay, honey, you gotta be patient. Okay, mommy is talking.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope you can find someone that's really interested. I think there's something to say about the whole finding a different topic to talk about as opposed to something that's already talked about before. I think like one class on diversity, and for example, if you have one class on one lecture on power and privilege, I think it's still beneficial to have that conversation again under different circumstances, not in a official academic setting where a teacher is telling you what to know, and maybe having a different environment like a webinar, or like even if you have someone else from the community that talks about that might increase or create different conversations. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts on like, you don't just need one class and you're one and done. I can go on a whole session on like just one class on diversity issues is not enough.
Definitely.
But then there's also pushback and like, oh, how do you incorporate diversity in every single class? And so it's supposed to be a learning process, right? Again, if you find someone that you're really interested in and you need funding for that, definitely keep us in mind. And that's the point of the student committee. We're here to support each other, right?
Yeah, definitely. No, I definitely agree. I think that my main goal, and it's still something that I'm interested in, but of course, I want the faculty to be on board with that. I think that what my goal was to have a discussion like that across cohorts, not just one, like the third year class takes that diversity course, more so like all years of the program.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely update you all in the next meeting about where that goes, and
absolutely.
Definitely submitting the activity and letting you guys.
Yeah, I was just so glad to hear that like you all are doing so much, and I just want to honor and say thank you for all the work that you're doing. I know it's not easy to do when we're already just being students in general. So I think it's super awesome, everything that you guys are doing. And any way I could support or we can support you, like that's what we want to do, right? Yeah, we have a couple more minutes. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to talk about? Any other like questions for activities that you're doing on campus? I want to make sure that, or if anything, definitely reach out to me if you have any specific questions that aren't answered. Anyone else? Yeah. See, do I have any announcement for you guys? So we're in the process for actually increasing or getting new applicants for next year's Division 45 campus reps. So we've got like 8 or 9 people that are interested in coming in. Actually, someone from Palo Alto University, which is so funny. They didn't know I was helping out with this, and they messaged the email, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I know you," and like I literally sit next to you in class right now. Okay, so the idea behind that is that they'll start next year. Like the application process will go all the way until April. Darren and I are reviewing new applicants, but we're hoping to have a lot more people that people can get connected to, hopefully through these coffee chit chats, etc. Learn a little bit more about the struggle of practicum process in all the different states. Want to learn how it is in every single one of these states and the struggles we have to deal with. But that's going to be coming on, and once we accept them, we'll introduce them to the current campus reps. Something that people also brought up last meeting was like the continuing of current reps on the campus. If you're transferring the role to someone else, if you're leaving, I think it was mainly applying to Abir, who's going to internship.
Yeah, I chatted with my committee about that, and it sounds like if it's okay.
Yeah, to transfer the role.
I'm gonna like transition, but like I'm gonna be for even when I'm on internship, because I saw that I can still be as long as I'm still in the program.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to have someone that's on campus that can
of course
represent and be the student rep. So it's kind of like we'll both be doing it, but I didn't know if like logistically that would be okay, or if like okay.
I think
okay.
no, absolutely. I think when that actually go ahead.
Sometimes too. Sorry.
No, I think there's no super official statement on how that's going to be if you're transferring to someone else. I think the main point is that we want to make sure that these committees, these chapters, stay alive. And if you know someone personally, or you know someone in the program that's interested in taking up the reins next year or whatever, obviously the people that are staying in their program for the next couple of years stay in it. But when that comes, just keep it in mind that if you know that you're transitioning out soon, we want to make sure that those chapters stay alive, because we want to make sure that all the work that you're doing continues to maintain. But that's pretty much it for that. Again, if anyone's interested in funding, let me know, or Desa, and then we really help out with that process, and there's official things on that. Other than that, we don't have a date for the next coffee chit chats yet. I'll send that out to you soon. I'm kind of doing it in 2 months basis. Sometimes life comes up and that's totally fine. But yeah, just look out for an email from me soon. I'll send this recording out as soon as I edit it. I think that's pretty much it for our meeting. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Really nice to see everyone.
Hearing from you.
Exactly. Yeah. Reach out to me. It was nice to see you all, and I guess we'll see each other hopefully next month.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.